Shalom, shalom. This is Brother Yair, right back at you with another video. First and foremost, I want to give all honor and glory to the Most High God, Yahweh, right, the Heavenly Father, and His Son, that the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ, Yahweh Shai, right? Brothers and sisters can see it from the topic of the video what we're going to be touching on, right? We're going to be touching on, the topic reads, Salaki, the rebuilding of Israel in these last days, right? You know, from what we see in these last days, we're seeing a lot of Israel waking up, right? We're seeing a lot of Israel coming back to who they are and so forth, right? And the men that's being sent out there to rebuild Israel as our forefathers were sent to rebuild the temple, right? Because we are the temple, right? We are the temple of the Most High, right? And He's sending men out there, right? Men of the Most High to go out there to rebuild the temple of the Most High. And that's us, right? And especially, being in dedication and so forth and having our minds on dedication, seeing how our forefathers, the Maccabees, how Judas and his brethren, rebuilt the temple, right? And dedicated back unto the Lord. Right, as countless other times and countless other accounts, of our forefathers rebuilding the temple. You have Nehemiah, you have Solomon, you have countless other, accounts, Moses. You have countless other, accounts going into the rededication, dedicating the temple to the Lord, right? So, I just wanted to touch on this. I've been meditating on this topic. Kind of let's jump into it. Right, I want to show that too. How we are we are the temple, Shalaki. We are the temple of the Lord. Right. Just for some brothers and sisters that's new to this thing, this is 1 Corinthians chapter 3 and verse 16, and it reads. It says, "Know ye not that ye are the temple of Yahweh, and that the Spirit of Yahweh dwell in you? If any man defile the temple of God, him shall God destroy. For the temple of Yahweh is holy, which the temple ye are." So we are the temple of the Most High, right? And that's why it's so important for us to rededicate ourselves back unto the Most High, Salaki. That's why it's so important to rededicate ourselves back to the Most High, because He dwells within us. He dwells within the Israelites, right? And that's why you see so much death, in amongst our people and stuff like that, because they're defiling themselves. They're defiling themselves with the customs of the heathen, just as we were in times past, right? Let me get that real quick. As we was joining ourselves unto the heathen, right? Getting down with the stuff that they were doing, right? This is 1 Maccabees chapter 1 and verse 11. "In those days went there out of Israel wicked men, who persuade many, saying, Let us go and make a covenant with the heathen that are round about us. For since we departed from them, we have had much sorrow." So our people literally want to go make covenants with these heathen, man. Want to go get down with these heathen and do the customs of them, right? And we're going to keep reading, right? It says, "So this device pleased them well. Then certain of the people were so forward herein that they went to the king, who gave them license to do after the ordinance of the heathen, whereupon they built a place of exercise at Jerusalem according to the custom of the heathen, right? And they was doing ungodly things in them places of exercise. Mad, lewd, sexual, evil, wicked, concupiscent things in these places of exercise. That's what they was doing, right? Getting down with the heathen, right? Defiling themselves, uncircumcising themselves. That's what it says. Let's keep reading. And it says, and themselves, it's like, and made themselves uncircumcised, and forsook the holy covenant, and joined themselves to the heathen, and were sold to do mischief, right? And our people were doing wicked acts, wicked things. We wasn't just doing wicked things now. We was doing wicked things back then too. A lot of our people went off and joined themselves unto the heathen and defiled the temple of the Most High, right? Right, on a physical level and on a spiritual level too. Defiling themselves, letting the heathen come in, do whatever they want, right? And even asking them, how can we get down with y'all? What can we do to get down? And Jake is always trying to get down with the heathen, man. Jake always sees something that the heathen would do and try to get down with it. Right? It's either down with the food that they eat, the clothing that they might wear, even down to the holidays, so-called holidays, the pagan holidays that they would get down with, keeping their birthdays and whatnot, all the ordinance that they keep of this world that comes from the heathen, our people love to get down with. They love to get down with it. Turn to homosexuals, right? Doing bestiality, right? Doing ungodly things, right? I'm going to go back to that. I'm going to get another one. This is 1 Corinthians chapter 6 and verse 19. And it reads, actually, yeah, I'm going to start at verse 19. It says, what know ye not that your body is the temple of the Holy Ghost, which is in you, which ye have of Yahweh, and ye are not your own, right? And our bodies are not our own. These temples, these bodies and so forth, they go back to the Most High. He the one that made these bodies with his hand. He dwells in these temples. He doesn't dwell in, the masjids. He doesn't dwell in these God-forsaken dang temples, man. These temples that they say God dwell in, that he don't dwell in them. He dwells within us. Right? Reading on. It says, for ye are bought with a price, therefore glorify Yahweh in your body and in your spirit, which are Yahweh's. Right? So we have to glorify the Most High. And the way how we glorify is rededicating ourselves to him. It's bringing ourselves back to him. Taking those filthy stones, taking the filth, the lewdness, the madness out of these temples that he made. Taking those things out and making it renew. Polishing, cleaning, do whatever you got to do spiritually to rededicate yourself back to the Most High, right? And that is the rebuilding. That is the rebuilding, the rededicating, right? Right? But I want to jump into this. I don't want to be too sidetracked. Right? But all praise the Most High, we got to bring that up. Right? But the Lord had chosen men, like I was saying in the beginning, has chosen men, right, to go out there on the highways and hedges, right, to rebuild the nation. To rebuild the nation as we have once rebuilt the temple, as we once rebuilt, and fortified our city, right? Salaki. This is First Maccabees chapter 4, and I'm gonna start at verse 41. Right? It says, "Then Judas appointed certain men to fight against those that were in the forest until he had cleansed the temple." Right? And the Lord is having certain men come in these last days to rebuild the temple. He has chosen certain men to do these certain things, right? And reading on, it says, "So he chose priests of blameless conversation, such as had pleasure." It's like such as had pleasure in the law, right? And he's choosing priests in these last days. He's choosing men that have pleasure of being in the law, have pleasure of doing the things to make their nation whole, to make their nation be one, that has this pleasure of doing these things, right? Reading on, "Who cleansed the sanctuary and bared out the defiled stones in the unclean place," right? And when you read on the rest of this chapter, I highly suggest, you do read this chapter. This is where it really goes into dedication. How they was rededicating the temple, taking all the filth, uncleanness, lewdness, and madness of what those Greeks and so forth had done unto our temple. Took all those filthy things out. That's the same thing that we're trying to do for our people, right? We see our people in this madness, the wickedness, ungodly, just ungodly. We see them and we talk to them. We try to bring them back to the fold and show them how they need to rededicate themselves back to the Lord. We tell them, look, you can't do this, you can't do that. That's totally against the Most High. He's your God, and you are his child, his children. Most importantly, you is his temple. You are his temple, so you can't just be doing whatever you want to do with it, right? So that's why it's so important for the men in these last days to go out there, especially if you're being called to do these things. You can't just try to sidetrack and deny yourself from doing this. You have to do it. You have to do it, especially with the talents that you're given to do it. You had different men in the temple doing different things. You had one man setting up the doors. You had another man. Yeah, actually, we can keep reading. Let's keep reading that. Verse 44. It says, "When as they consulted what to do with the altar of burnt offerings, which was profaned, they thought it best to pull it down, lest it should be a reproach to them, because it's like the heathen had defiled it, wherefore they pulled it down, right? And laid up the stones in the mountain of the temple in a convenient place, even it's like unto there should come a prophet to show what should be done with them. I'm gonna jump down a little bit. Right here. It says, and they made also new vessels, and in the temple they brought the candlesticks and the altar of burnt offerings and the incense and the table. Now, you just didn't have everybody doing one thing at the same time. You had certain brothers bringing in the vessels. You had one brother bringing in the menorah, well, helping out bringing the menorah, because the menorah, it was a big stature. So it was a big menorah. So, you had brothers, doing certain things. You just didn't, just had somebody doing one thing. You didn't have a whole group of brothers just doing one thing and they just moving on to the next. No, you had multiple people in there. You had priests. You had multiple priests in there to help, do these certain things for the temple, to set up certain things in the temple, right? To put the candle, put the menorah, the table, the incense, the vessels, all these things that needed to be brought in, the altar, all these things that need to be brought into the temple. So it goes the same thing for our brothers that's in this truth. You might have certain talents that is needed to bring into the temple, to help rebuild the temple, to help do these certain things, to help the temple be rebuilt. So you can't deny that. You need the Lord. If the Lord calls you, he calls you. Now, if you deny that, look, that's on you. Right? That's on you. Right? I want to get this real quick. Let's go to Ezra. Get this out of Ezra real quick. Jump down. This is Ezra chapter 1. I'm going to start at verse 3. It says, who is there among you of all his people? His God be with them, and let them go up to Jerusalem, which is in Judah, and build the house of the Lord, Yahweh of Israel. He is the God, which is in Jerusalem. It said in the beginning, it literally says, who is there among you of all his people? Who is there to help bring and rebuild the temple of the Lord? He's asking, right? Reading on. And whosoever remaineth in any place where he sojourneth, let the men of his place help him with silver and with gold and with goods and with beasts, beside the free will offering for the house of the Lord that is in Jerusalem. Then rose up the chief of the fathers of Judah and Benjamin, and the priests and the Levites, and with all them whose spirit hath raised up, it's like he has raised, to go up to build the house of the Lord which is in Jerusalem. So the spirit was stirred up in them, man. The spirit was stirred up in them to go and rebuild the temple of the Lord. How much us in these last days, man? Aren't you tired of seeing Israel out here doing God knows what? They about to keep Christmas. They about to keep so-called New Year's. Our people are still living ungodly. The work is not done. We have to put our brick in. We have to be as our forefathers that done these things in the past. We are being called. We are being called right now to do these things. Are you going to answer or are you going to deny it? Right? Let me see if I want more on this. All right, that's it. That's it. All right, I'm going to get another one. All right. This is Ezra chapter 7. And I'm going to start at verse... I'm going to start at verse 27. It says, "Blessed be the Lord Yahweh of our fathers, which haveth put such a thing as this in the king's heart, to beautify the house of the Lord, which is in Jerusalem." Right? And the Lord literally put it in the king's heart, Cyprus, to put in his heart to for us to rebuild the temple. Now, not saying that, he was dealing with him, he was doing these things. He used him. He used him to be able to do these certain things. Right? Right? To do these certain things for us to rebuild the temple. Because we was in our captivity. We was in our captivity at this time. Right? We was in our captivity at this time. We had no means to do these certain things. Right? So the Lord put it on Cyrus for us to be able to do this. All praise the Most High. Right? Now, just because the Lord used him doesn't mean, he gonna have salvation. No. He just used that heathen. There's plenty of heathen that been used throughout the scriptures for our benefit. Don't let that sidetrack you thinking that, oh no, okay, well, he had helped us with the temple, so that means he's a godly man. No. He still believed in his own gods. He still believed in his own gods. He still did his own things. But the Lord just put it in his heart to do it. Put it in his heart for us to go back to Jerusalem and rebuild the temple. Right? Reading on, it says, "And have extended his mercy unto me before the king and his counselors, and before all the king's mighty princes. And I was strengthened as the hand of the Lord my God was upon me, and I gathered together out of Israel chief men to go with me." Right? And Ezra gathered these men to go back to rebuild the temple. As the Lord is having men come back now to rebuild the temple, which is us. Once we get right, we can get out of here. Once the 144, once the elect, the 1/3 wakes up and rededicate themselves back to the Lord, we out of here, man. That's when Jacob's trouble gonna start. That's when the persecution is gonna happen. And then that's when the fall of this place is gonna come down. Right? And many of our people that die in Jacob's trouble, right, that die for the name of the Lord, they're gonna be the first ones raised. They're gonna be the first ones raised, and then the rest that been faithful unto the end will be saved. So we have to rededicate ourselves. We have to rebuild the temple, which is the nation. We have to rebuild this nation for us to go back home. All right, I'm gonna get a couple more. All right, I'm gonna close out. Get a couple more, then I'm gonna close out. Right, and mind you, the nations didn't like this either. As the nations don't like it now. Right? The nations did not like this at all. Right, I want to get this real quick. I'll get this in First Ezra. It's First Ezra, oh, Slacky. First Ezra's 5. This one on. First Ezra's 5. Jump down. This is First Ezra's 5 and verse 70. It says, then Zerubbabel and Joshua. When Jesus comes up, it means Joshua. Right? You can look that up. And the chief of the families of Israel said unto them, it is not for us and you to build together an house unto the Lord our God. We ourselves alone will build unto the Lord of Israel, according as Cyrus, the king of the Persians, have commanded us. But the heathen of the land, laying heavy upon the inhabitants, of Judea, holding them straight, hindered their building. They what? They hindered their building. They literally they're trying to hinder the building of the temple. And this is not nothing new. Same way how they don't want to see us rebuild the nation. And pretty soon they're going to try to get us off the streets just to stop us from rebuilding. They're going to try to do a lot of things in these last days to hinder the building, as they have done before. As they have done in the times past. Right? As they have done in the times past. Right? Hold on, we'll get another one. Get another one. So lucky. Actually, you know which one I want. Second Maccabees. Let me get this one. No, First Maccabees, lucky. First Maccabees chapter 5 and verse 1. This is First Maccabees chapter 5 and verse 1. It says, now when the nations round about heard that The altar was built and the sanctuary renewed as before. It displeased them very much, right? And displeased these other nations very much that the temple was being rebuilt, that these things were being renewed, and the Most High God's people are praising him, that they're coming back and being godly. The nations do not like that. The nations do not like the fact that you are praising your God. They do not like the fact that you're changing your ways from the heathen customs. They do not like that. They don't like the fact that men are teaching their households and being fathers unto their children and husbands to their wives. They don't like the fact that women are putting dresses on and head wraps and being godly and shamefaced to this world. They don't like the fact that children are not listening and watching these cartoons and whatnot, and listening and watching these YouTube videos to change their sexuality and attacking them as a child. They don't like that. They don't like that we're not keeping Christmas. They don't like that we're not keeping Thanksgiving. They don't like the fact that we're not keeping New Year's. They don't like the fact that we're not keeping their pagan holidays. They don't like it. They're very displeased. I literally heard from this elder when he was out teaching, right? I believe this was Elder hold on, Salaki. Elder Zabat. Elder Zabat, he literally was teaching, and this dang Amalekite drove past him, pulled up in his limo, right, and said, "How did you get this information? We spent billions of dollars to keep this away from you." And it just snuck off, spent off. I know he was heated in that back of that dang limo, man. Probably took his kufi off, his hammock or whatever they call it, little frisbee on his head, took it off and threw it to the ground, man. Angry and upset. Because they know once we come in power, everybody has to follow us. We are going to be the example. And they don't like that. They don't like the fact that we're getting too close to the Most High. When we're getting closer to the Most High, their kingdom is being more how can I say it? Their kingdom is falling more and more. Their kingdom is falling more and more and more. Each and every brother that wakes up, their days are being numbered now. These nations' kingdom is being numbered, counted down. Right? So lucky. So we have to, in these last days, continue to come back to the Lord. Right? Doesn't matter what we see, what's going on. Doesn't matter if these nations don't want us to do it. We have to do it, right? And don't let nothing in this world stop you from doing it. Don't let no bills, don't let no job, don't let none of these things, right? Don't let your boss come up to you and be like, "Hey, we found the video, we found all the videos and pictures of you being an Israelite and you talking about, us and stuff like that. And we're going to need you to stop if you want to keep working here. Or they might not even tell you to stop. They might just tell you, we got to let you go. Right? Don't let that discourage you, because it will come up. This will come up. I even heard certain brothers and sisters lost their job because they heard about their job, heard about them being an Israelite, and they know what we do. So what? So what? That means we still, that shows you how close we are to the end. That should build your faith up even more in these last days, right? Let me get my ending precept and I'm going to close out. Right, this is Revelation chapter 22 and verse 12. And it reads, it says, and behold, I come quickly, and my reward is with me, to give every man according as his work shall be. Right, so if you continue to rebuild the nation, rebuild the temple, going out each and every week to let your people know that they need to come back, that they need to put down the blunts, they need to put down these ungodly things that's keeping them away from their God, that they need to stop following after these heathen. And you consistently go out there to do that, to inform your people. You shall be rewarded, man. You shall be rewarded for the works that you have done in sincerity and truth, and for love for your nation. You shall be rewarded. But the ones that did not want to go out there, the ones that just say, they be all right, I'm going to let them brothers go ahead and go do it. I'm going to sit back on my keyboard and be in these comments. It's going to be a reward for you too, for not doing what the Lord told us to do, man. For denying the call. It's going to be a reward for you as well. And it's not going to be the reward that everybody else gets for being diligent and listening and took the call. You're going to be with the ones that is going to be in the fire. So get right. Answer the call. Right, it's lucky for the background noise too. Right. Reading on. I am Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end, the first and the last. Blessed are they that do his commandments, that they may have the right to the tree of life and may enter in through the gates into the city. Right. And we have to continue to keep the laws and commandments of the Most High. We have to keep the laws and commandments of the Most High to be able to enter. To be able to enter in the gates. The 12 gates that are set up for the 12 tribes of Israel only. Right, with that, I want to give all honor and glory to the Most High God, Yahweh Bahashem HaMashiach Yahushai. Most High willing this video was edifying to brothers and sisters. I hope brothers and sisters was really, listening and keying in and so forth, right? And taking down notes if you were, right? Unless, you was driving, you were just listening to the video, right? So with that, Kwam Yisrael, Shalom Israel, and continue to keep the rest of the feast day. It's like you keep the rest of the feast throughout the week. Keep it, continue to be on fire. Continue to, have mirth and joy throughout this week, right? I know brothers might be still working and stuff like that, but when you come home with your family, still be in mirth, man. Be glad that the Lord was able to bring you back home unto your family to keep this feast, man. And if you getting together with brothers too, man, go ahead and go do it, man. Go ahead and go do it. Keep this feast, man. And keep the remembrance of why we keep the feast. Continue to go over the accounts, right? Continue to do these things to be in the spirit as well. Not just too much mirth, right? You got to remember. You have to remember these accounts. Let your children know. Teach your children, teach your wives,